So my question again is, do you believe that minor keys are a legitimate musical concept? Right? Well, you may say you need more proof. And then that's when I would say, okay, sure, we can pull so many. So Jim Ferguson says, now he says no. All right, let me see if you said no at the beginning, Jim. All right, Jim, you did say yes at the beginning. So now I made you a believer. And I can go into songs on top of songs, right? Right. So for example, and the question is, do you believe minor keys are a legitimate musical concept? Feel free to answer, guys. All right. Don't want to put you on the spot. But let's say if I did this very quickly, right? So let's say, okay, Lonnie says, not now. Okay, made you a believer, right? And that's why I say it's a nightmare to think that way. And because when you do look at music that way, you make it unnecessarily hard. Because now you're telling yourself, okay, when you just got the tonic of this, now you got to learn a new tonic. You got to learn all those new tonics, right? That's what's making it hard. You're making it harder for yourself unnecessarily, right? Because you didn't think that there was a way. So for example, just very quickly, if I did, and if you have a question, feel free to type it. So let's say if they would say that, let's say, or, okay, let's take that one just very quick, right? So they would have that, they would say it's in A minor, okay? Well, really A minor is the 6th of C, right? So it's all it is starting at the 6th chord of that. So for example, when they have this, so if they had A minor, right? Da 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 da. Then they go to the E minor, and then they put a little thing there that's type of diminish. All right. So what end up happening if you look at those chords? If you go A minor, A minor, A minor, A minor, 1, 2, 3, then E minor, right? That's basically what they're playing, right? That's just what I call an accessory, right? 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 When they're doing all of this, I understand the language that I'm hearing. I don't look at that hard. I don't say that this is the 1 minor and then the 5 minor. That's a waste of brain space and a waste of your ear. What I say that in the key of C, that's really the 6. It doesn't change. 6 is always minor, right? And then they have, in the key of C, we know that E is a 3rd. It's always minor. So when I can hear the 1 to 7 in every key, it doesn't sound foreign. It doesn't sound like lost. Why is that important? Because if we look at all the notes in the A minor key, right, or A minor chord, we know that the notes are A, C, and E. Can you see that? Yes, you can. Right, and then the E minor, we know that the notes are E, G, and B. Okay, so let me show you this: E, G, and B. The key thing is what you have to do when you're playing by ear, once again, is that's why with any key music system, I'm not going to teach you by just telling you the answers, right? Through the system, we're always going to learn how to understand principles, all right? So if we go back here, let's go to the piano here. Don't forget, I'll just move that stuff. Let's go to the A minor chord, okay? So watch this. We're going to go to the A minor chord here, okay? A minor. Okay, and then I had the E minor after. So where can I put the E minor? I'll just put it here in green. Here, move this guy out of the way. Let's put the right here. That's a very long green thing. All right, so those are the 2 chords. Why is that important? Well, simply this. Those are the 2 chords, and they're dancing around. He's just playing one note and this part of the chord. So it's a type of accessory. However, in terms of the notes that they're playing, right? If we were to go through the system, right, I'm going to teach you a principle called approaches, okay? You see approaches is over here. These are what I got to teach you, okay, in terms of understanding the language that you're hearing. But if I did approaches, right, if I did a 1 number coming from above my A, which is a 6, right? This is how you want to play by ear, by understanding, right? So not necessarily the chord, Andrew. I just want single notes, okay? So you gave me one number above my 6, which is a 7. So that is known as a one number approach coming from above. My destination is my 6 or my A, because A is my note. So one number above my A is a B, right? Which we said, which was a 7. Then I got to my A, and what is one semitone below my A? Not a chord, I just want a single note, all right? So you guys tell me the single note, right? Exactly. It's G sharp or A flat, and I'm good with either of those. Just do not call it a F sharp double sharp, okay? Okay, so if we had one semitone below our A, all right, let's grab an arrow here, then it would be this. So therefore, when I hear them playing this, I don't have to think too hard. So they just went a one number, because the chord is an A, C, E, right? They just went one number above my A, which is my one number above my 6, and then a semitone below my A, and got back to the A. So one number above the A, which is a 6, and a semitone below my A. That was what you heard. You heard them do an approach, right? And then after they do that to every one of the notes of the chord. So we know that in the, let me move this over here. Okay, so if we know that that's the case, and notice the notes that they're using, right? We know that the next destination, well, not necessarily you know, but if now you can see that it has an A, C, and E, which is a 6, 1, and 3. If I did the same thing, so basically what am I saying? So basically I went one number above my A, so I did this. I went one number above my A, which was my B, then I went to my A, and then I went one semitone below my A, which was, we said A flat or G sharp, right? It can be either or, I'm good with either of those. And then it went back to the A, right? That's what we did, right? We did the B, but then we went to the C, right? Went to the C, because that's one of the notes of the chord. Now, what if you did the same type of approach to get to the C? What would those four letters be? Okay, so if you did the same thing, one number above the 1, a semitone below the 1, and then back to the 1. So it's one number above the 1 to get to the 1, and then a semitone below the 1 to get back to the 1. Hopefully I'm making sense, okay? Because this is how the language works, all right? I just want you guys to type that in, and I'll be wrapping up, right? So D and then the B, exactly. So now when we do it, okay, I'll use green. One number above my C is my D, right? And then I go to my 1 because that was my destination. And then I wanted to go one semitone below, which was a B, and back to my C. So therefore, when I play it, and then it goes to the E, right? It goes to the E as well. So that's why, so when I hear this, and the reason why I can play these songs by ear, because I understand the language that I'm hearing, right? It's an approach. Now, and then what would be the notes if you did the same approach on the E? Remember, we're not saying it's in a minor key. We're saying it's in the major key. It's in the key of C, right? So therefore, what would be the one number above the E, which we know is a 3, and a semitone below it? What would be the notes there? You got it. Who's that? All right, thank you, Frank. That's right. It would have the F, then it has the E, right? Then it has a semitone below. I got to grab some arrows from down here. Semitone below it, which is the E flat, and back to the E. So therefore, when Beethoven is playing, he understands principles. And then they do it again, right? They just do the same thing up here to get to the A. So let's say we want to get to the A. He just uses the same type of thing, so which we know is above that, and I grab an arrow from here, down here, right? So therefore, it's the, whoops, sorry. Hopefully this makes sense, okay? So if you can hear it by not confusing yourself with the minor key stuff, that's a hoax. And people, when they see when I talk about that, when I talk about that, I'm like, okay, I'm not insulting you as someone that teaches it. I'm trying to make it clear for you to see music, and if you see it in one key, that it'll be easier to do it. So now all these notes that are playing, it makes more sense because they applied a principle. then they end up at the C at the end, right? So that's how that part worked, right? Because if I did the same principle, but instead of a minor chord, I had a major, it'd be like this. So that's why they can switch these different modes, because they just applied a principle to, let's say, if they're making it major or minor. But remember, everything stems from a major key. But you have to be taught how to play in every key. You have to be taught how to hear the numbers, and you have to be taught how to understand the language of music. So what should you do? Well, number one, you should learn how to understand the language of music. I gave you a quick taste of the understanding. Now, how I teach now, if you want to learn how to understand the language, you have to do this. Well, thank you. Yes, I guess I can bow. Right? Thank you. But you got to do this. You got to learn the language. And how do you do that? Well, I teach it in any key music system that you got to master all of these 15 principles. You don't do it overnight, but that's why I usually need a couple years or a year you'll see results after 30 days. But I would apply all of those things in there. That's what you got to be able to do. Okay. So hopefully you were able to see a little bit more on how minor keys are what? Minor keys can be considered to be a little bit of a hoax. Okay, no fault of their own, but if you learn how to understand the language of music, it'll be a lot easier. Okay, so I want to say thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening, and thank you for allowing me to share how I look at music. Now we're going to be ending, but if you have a question, you have me live. Now would be a time to actually ask. All right.